Deontay Wilder is judged by rules no other heavyweight has ever been judged by. Not because of his boxing ability, but because of who boxing decided he wasn't allowed to be. If Anthony Joshua lost the way Wilder lost, his career would be called brave. If Tyson Fury fought the people Wilder fought when Wilder fought them, his legacy would look very different. But Wilder didn't get protection, he didn't get forgiveness, and he didn't get context. So the quick question isn't whether Wilder was overrated. The real question is this: were we judging the wrong things the entire time? People don't judge Deontay Wilder like they judge other heavyweights. And it has almost nothing to do with skill. It's about who he was allowed to be. From the very beginning, Wilder never fit the box boxing wanted him in. He wasn't polished, he wasn't safe, he didn't sound rehearsed. He spoke like a fighter who meant every word literally, not symbolically, not diplomatically. Sometimes that honesty crossed lines. He said violent things, he talked about killing in the ring, things that sound horrific when stripped of context, clipped, and replayed, but things that came from a man who never treated boxing as entertainment first. That authenticity became his crime because boxing doesn't actually reward authenticity, it rewards control. Anthony Joshua was built to be safe, and not by accident. He was calm, corporate, measured, always saying the right thing, always losing the right way. Eddie Hearn didn't just promote Joshua, he sold stability. Joshua was designed to never scare sponsors, like never alienate casual fans, never make people uncomfortable, and it worked. Then there's Tyson Fury. Chaotic, polarizing, unpredictable, but wrapped in redemption, mental health, addiction, depression, suicide awareness, a comeback story that deserved respect. But redemption comes with built-in forgiveness. So Fury could underperform, he could struggle, he could lose moments, and it was reframed as bravery, resilience, survival. Wilder never got forgiveness. When Wilder spoke emotionally, it was called delusion. When he lost and made excuses, bad excuses, wrong excuses, people didn't see pain. They saw weakness. But those excuses mattered because they showed something Joshua never showed. Wilder couldn't live with losing. He didn't accept it politely. He didn't sanitize it. He didn't pretend it didn't hurt. And boxing punished him for that honesty. There's a moment where this difference becomes impossible to ignore. The first Wilder Fury fight. On paper, it's simple. It was a draw. Fury was undefeated. Wilder dropped him twice. One of those knockdowns looked like a dead body being resurrected. By normal boxing logic, that should have been a career-defining night for Wilder, especially when people were questioning whether he belonged at world level. Instead, the narrative flipped instantly. Nobody asked how Wilder nearly knocked out an undefeated lineal-level heavyweight. They asked how Fury got up, how brave he was, how incredible the recovery was. Wilder's achievement vanished in real time. If Joshua had dropped an undefeated Fury twice and escaped with a draw, that moment would still be replayed today as proof of elite greatness. With Wilder, it became proof that Fury was special. That's when the rules changed. From that moment on, Wilder stopped being judged on what he did and started being judged on what he wasn't. And once that lens locks in, everything after gets distorted. That's why Wilder's losses felt final, while Joshua's and Fury's felt temporary, because Wilder had already been cast as the villain. He was also blamed for something fans never consciously admitted, but absolutely felt. He stood in the way. Wilder stood between boxing and the fight everyone wanted, Joshua versus Fury. When that fight didn't happen, fans didn't blame contracts. They didn't blame promoters. They didn't blame timing. They blamed Wilder. So when he lost, it felt like justice. Not sport, justice. And that's where real analysis stopped. Here's the part people avoid. Wilder fought the man Joshua didn't. 3 times. Prime Fury. No waiting for erosion, no safety timing, no gentle entry. Joshua never stepped in there. Not once. Not when it mattered. This isn't about fear. It's about risk management. Joshua's career was navigated. Wilder's career was volatile by choice. Boxing history doesn't reward almost. It rewards who actually showed up. And timing matters more than people admit. Joshua lost first, and he lost downward. Andy Ruiz wasn't the best heavyweight in the world. It was a shock loss that shattered Joshua's aura instantly. From that moment on, every fight came with questions about his chin, his confidence, his mentality. Wilder's first loss came upward, against the man who defined the era. That distinction matters. Losing to Fury isn't the same as losing to Ruiz. One reframes expectations, the other redefines the division. And Wilder is also the only man besides Usyk to put a mark on Fury's record. Before Wilder, Fury's record was clean. After Wilder, it wasn't. Joshua never did that because he never took the test. Now let's talk about what happened after Elite Resistance, because this is where the contrast becomes undeniable. After Wilder, Fury didn't go anywhere near the most dangerous heavyweights in the division. He didn't fight Parker. He didn't fight Zhang. He didn't fight Bakole. Instead, he fought White, Chisora again, a boxing debutant in Ganu, and only then stepped up to Usyk, where he lost. Joshua followed the same pattern. After Usyk exposed his ceiling twice, Joshua didn't step straight back into danger. He fought Jermaine Franklin, Otto Wallen, Robert Helenius, a debut in Ganu. Only after all of that did he step back up, and when he finally did, Daniel Dubois flattened him. That matters, because Wilder did the opposite. After the Fury War, not after a rebuild, not after confidence padding, Wilder stepped straight into two of the top 5 most dangerous heavyweights in the division. Joseph Parker, Zhilei Zhang, no easing back, no protection, no narrative insulation. That isn't coincidence. That's character. And this is where Wilder's durability gets rewritten unfairly. In the second Fury fight, Wilder didn't get knocked out because his chin failed. The corner threw in the towel. He was knocked down by a body shot, not a head shot. He had a burst eardrum, which completely destroys balance and coordination. That's not a glass chin. That's a physiological failure inside the ear. And even then, Wilder didn't quit. The fight was stopped for him. Then came the trilogy. One of the most brutal heavyweight fights of the modern era. Wilder was dropped early. He got back up. He dropped Fury again. And he stayed dangerous until his body finally shut down. That wasn't exposure. That was a man nearly dying in the ring. And that was the first time Wilder was ever truly finished. After that kind of war, damage that ends careers, Wilder still went 12 rounds with Joseph Parker. This wasn't a faded Parker. This was a fully formed elite-level Parker. The same Parker who later knocked out Martin Bakole in 1 round, the same Parker who beat Zhang, the same Parker who beat Joe Joyce. Wilder went the distance with that man. He wasn't dropped. He wasn't stopped. Bakole couldn't do that. Others couldn't do that. Then there's Zhilei Zhang, the loss people love to weaponize. This needs to be framed honestly. Zhang is a nuclear puncher, Olympic silver medalist, freak size, freak power. He broke prime Joe Joyce twice, a fighter once considered unhurtable. He dropped Parker multiple times. There is a strong argument he beat Joshua earlier in their careers. There is a strong argument he beat Filip Hrgović. This isn't a bad loss. This is heavyweight reality. And here's the part people refuse to say out loud. Despite being the smallest heavyweight champion of the era, Wilder had the biggest one-punch power and arguably the most proven chin. Look at who actually stopped him. Only 2 men. Fury, much bigger in War's Zhang, an elite knockout specialist. That's it. Now compare that to Joshua. Joshua's been rocked by White, an aging Klitschko Ruiz, nearly stopped by Usyk, flattened by Dubois, different sizes, different styles, different levels. Joshua doesn't just get hurt, he breaks. And Fury has been dropped by cruiserweights, by Wilder, by Usyk, and by a boxing debutant in Ganu, across eras, across sizes, across experience levels. So when people talk about Wilder's chin, they're not analyzing reality, they're reacting to optics. And this brings us to the most overlooked part of Wilder's story. Wilder didn't start boxing to be famous. He started boxing because his daughter was born with a rare illness. He needed money, he needed stability, he needed a way out. He picked up the sport late with almost no amateur background and fought his way to the top out of necessity, not entitlement. That context matters, because when Wilder went to court to force the 3rd Fury fight, he wasn't chasing belts. Joshua wants to be a 3-time world champion. That's legacy through accumulation. Wilder wanted the man who beat him. Outside of titles, outside of money, outside of optics. That's blood level motivation. That's not something you coach. That's not something you sell. That's who you are. And that's why Wilder's career feels different. Because when everything is stripped away, promoters, narratives, protection, Wilder is the one who consistently chose danger over comfort. Smallest heavyweight, biggest punch, elite chin, willing to die in the ring, and boxing never quite knew what to do with that. So when people talk about Wilder like his career collapsed, they're reacting to a story, not the evidence. Because when you strip the noise away, what you're left with is simple. Wilder fought the hardest version of the era's defining heavyweight when it was actually hard. He didn't wait for erosion. He didn't wait for safety. He didn't wait for permission. And even now, his career isn't closed, it's unfinished. And that's why this video has to exist. Because boxing didn't fail Deontay Wilder in the ring, it failed him in how it told the story. While Anthony Joshua fought names, Wilder fought versions, the prime, dangerous, fully formed versions. Nobody can take away the fury he faced. Nobody can take away the Parker he went the distance with. Nobody can take away the Zhang he stepped in with. Those were the hardest versions of this generation, and Wilder met them head on. If his career feels shorter than it should have been, that isn't because he avoided danger. It's because he embraced it too early, too often, and without protection. And no matter what happens next, whether he ever gets another title shot or not, that reality doesn't change. Others were allowed to pick their moments. Wilder never waited. He fought the best of his generation when it was actually hard. And history eventually always corrects that kind of honesty.